Hello, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy, and I'm here to do a Course in Miracles lesson 339, a Course in Miracles lesson 339, a Course in Miracles lesson 339, a Course in Miracles lesson 339. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. I will receive whatever I request. No one desires pain. No one desires pain. But you can think that pain is pleasure. You can think that pain is pleasure. No one would avoid their happiness. No one would avoid their happiness, but one can think that joy is painful. You can think that joy is painful. You can think that joy is threatening. And you can think that joy is dangerous. Everyone will receive what he or she requests. Everyone will receive what they request. But you can be confused indeed about the things you want, the state you would attain. You can be confused indeed about the things you want, the state you would attain. What can you then request that you would want when you receive it? You have asked for what will frighten you, and you don't know it, but you've asked for what will bring you suffering. Let us resolve today to ask for what you really want, and ask for only what you really want, that we may spend this day in fearlessness, because that is what you want, is to spend the day in love. That's what you really want. So let us resolve today to ask for what we really want and only what we really want, that we may spend this day in fearlessness without confusing pain with joy or fear with love. Father, Mother, God, this is your day. This day is a day in which I would do nothing by myself. Today I'm not going to do anything by myself, but I'm going to hear your voice in everything I do, God, requesting only what you, God, offer me. I request only what you, God, offer me. I accept only the thoughts, God, you share with me. Our Creator, this is your day. It is a day in which this is a day in which you would do nothing by yourself, but hear God's voice in everything you do, requesting only what God offers you, accepting only thoughts you share with God. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive. I will receive whatever I request. You will receive whatever you request. I will receive whatever I request. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. Do you know that you will receive whatever you request? What would it take for whatever you request to show up? Well, you will receive whatever you request. You will receive whatever you request. I will receive whatever I request. Mighty companion, this is Earl Purdy. I have classes on audio and video. Check them out. Check them out at www.earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy.com. Let peace extend from my mind and my heart to yours, and you will receive whatever you request. Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Raj Purdy, and we're going to do the theme 12 in the workbook, which is called What is the Ego? What is the ego means what is fear? What is separation? What is separation thought? What is the ego? The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and a separated self. The ego is the part of you that thinks it's born in a body, doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. The ego is the so-called will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. Do you know the ego is the so-called proof that strength is weak and love is fearful, that life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true? Do you know the ego is insane? The part of the mind that thinks it's separate, the part of the mind that thinks it's separate from God is insane. In fear, the ego stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. Do you know that in the ego's insanity, the ego thinks it has become a victor over God himself? And in the ego's terrible autonomy, the ego sees the will of God. The ego sees the will of God has been destroyed. To the fearful man, the will of God that you be perfectly happy has been destroyed. Do you know that the ego dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams, its enemies who seek to murder the ego before the ego can ensure the ego's safety by attacking them? Do you know the Son of God is egoless? Do you know that you are egoless? Do you know that your real self doesn't have any fear or sense of separation? What can the child of God know of madness? What can the child of God know of the death of God when the child of God abides in God? What can the child of God who knows he or she is a child of God? What can the child of God know of sorrow? What can the child of God know of suffering? When the child of God lives in eternal joy, how could the child of God know suffering? What can the child of God know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding the child of God is everlasting peace? When all there is surrounding the child of God is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility. Do you know to know reality, to know the truth, to know love is not to see the ego and not to see the ego's thoughts, is to know reality in love. To know reality is not to see the ego and the ego's thoughts, the ego's works, the ego's acts, the ego's laws, and the ego's beliefs. To know reality is not to know the ego's fearful dreams, the ego's hopes, the ego's plans for salvation, and the cost belief in the ego entails. Do you know that in suffering, the price for faith in the ego is so immense that crucifixion of you, the child of God, is offered daily at the ego's darkened, ignorant shrine? And blood must flow before the altar where the ego's sickly followers prepare to die. And yet, with one lily of forgiveness, will one lily of correct perception change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds that which God created as his son. Peace will be restored forever to the holy minds which God created as his son, his dwelling place, his joy, God's love, and completely God's, completely one with God. So what is the ego? What is a fearful thought? What is the ego?